History often remembers the famous speeches, the great battles, and the leaders whose names filled newspapers. Those moments deserve to be remembered. But over the years, I've come to believe that another kind of history has been quietly waiting for us. It isn't found only in capitals or museums. It's found in neighborhoods where families built homes, in churches where hope was renewed every Sunday, in schools where children learned to dream, and in small businesses where every dollar represented another step toward freedom. As I began researching these places, I realized they all had something in common. They were built by ordinary people who refused to let difficult circumstances define their future. They believed that freedom wasn't simply something written into law. Freedom had to be lived, protected, and passed from one generation to the next. That's why I created the Freedom Archive. Together, we'll travel across America to rediscover remarkable communities whose stories deserve to be remembered. Some flourished, some disappeared, others survived against incredible odds. Yet each one has something to teach us about courage, perseverance, faith, education, and the power of people working together. This is where our journey begins. Welcome to the Freedom Archive. Most history books focus on the events that changed America. They tell us about wars, elections, court decisions, and famous speeches. Those stories are important, but they only tell part of the story. What often gets overlooked are the places where ordinary people actually lived their lives. Communities were where children learned their first lessons, where neighbors helped one another through difficult times, where churches became centers of hope, and where businesses created opportunities that had never existed before. These places weren't built overnight. They were built one family, one paycheck, one prayer, and one dream at a time. Some communities became symbols of prosperity. Others faced violence, discrimination, or the loss of their land. Yet even when buildings disappeared, the values they created often survived in the people who called those places home. Their stories remind us that freedom is more than a law written on paper. Freedom grows stronger when people invest in one another and work together for the next generation. Before we visit our first community, we need to understand why these places mattered and why remembering them still matters today. When I say the word community, I'm talking about much more than a dot on a map. A community is built by people who choose to believe in one another. It's the mother who walks her child to school every morning because she believes education can open doors. It's the pastor who reminds his congregation that hope is stronger than fear. It's the shopkeeper who knows every customer by name, the teacher who stays late to help a struggling student, and the neighbor who quietly checks on an elderly friend. Communities are where values are lived every day. They teach children what hard work looks like. They celebrate weddings, mourn losses, and stand together when difficult times arrive. Long before many families had wealth, they had something just as valuable. They had each other. As I researched these remarkable places, I discovered something that surprised me. Every successful community, no matter where it was located, shared the same foundation. People believed their future was worth building. They invested in education, faith, family, honest work, and helping the next generation succeed. That's why these stories still matter today. They remind us that freedom doesn't grow by accident. It grows when ordinary people choose to build something that will outlive them. Now, Let's visit one of those remarkable communities. Every community has a story waiting to be discovered. Sometimes that story begins with a family who dreamed of owning land. Sometimes it begins with a church, a school, or a small business that became the heart of the neighborhood. Other times, it begins with people who simply refused to give up, even when the odds were stacked against them. As we travel together through the Freedom Archive, we won't just look at old photographs or read names from history books. We'll ask the questions that bring these places back to life. Who were the people who built this community? What gave them hope? What challenges did they face? What did they create that was worth protecting? And what can we learn from them today? Some of the communities we'll visit still exist. Others have nearly disappeared, leaving behind only memories, newspaper articles, faded maps, or forgotten deeds tucked away in old boxes. But even when the buildings are gone, the lessons remain. Every place we visit is another piece of America's story. Every family we remember adds another voice to history. And every community reminds us that freedom was never built by one person alone. Our journey begins with a remarkable community whose story still has something important to teach us. Every journey has a beginning, and every community has a story worth telling. As we open the pages of the Freedom Archive, our first stop is more than a place on a map. It represents the hopes, sacrifices, and determination of Black Americans who believed that freedom meant more than surviving. They wanted to build something that would endure. They wanted their children to grow up with opportunities they had never been given. They wanted to create neighborhoods where education, faith, family, honest work, and ownership could take root. Like so many communities across America, this one didn't appear overnight. It was built one family at a time. Every home, every church, every school, and every business reflected people who refused to let hardship define their future. They understood that lasting freedom required more than courage. It required planning, cooperation, and a shared belief that tomorrow could be better than today. As we walk through this community together, I invite you to look beyond the buildings and the streets. Listen for the voices of the people who lived here. Imagine the dreams they carried, the challenges they faced, and the legacy they left behind. Their story is not only part of Black American history, it is part of the American story itself. Let's begin. Our first journey takes us to the Mississippi Delta, where one remarkable community dared to imagine a different future. Its name is Mound Bayou. Founded in 1887 by formerly enslaved men, this wasn't simply another town on the map. It was a bold declaration that Black Americans could build, govern, and prosper through their own determination, hard work, and vision. Here, families purchased land, opened businesses, established schools, built churches, and created opportunities that many people believed were impossible. Mound Bayou became a place where leadership grew from within the community itself, proving that freedom meant much more than the end of slavery. Freedom meant having the chance to shape your own future and to leave something better for the next generation. As we explore the streets of Mound Bayou, I don't want you to see it only as a historical landmark. I want you to imagine the excitement of families arriving with hope in their hearts, believing that together they could build a community where opportunity belonged to everyone willing to work for it. Mound Bayou reminds us that history isn't only about what was taken away. It's also about what courageous people had the determination to build. Let's discover their story together. History often remembers the people who founded a town, but communities are built by many more hands than those recorded in official documents. As Mound Bayou began to grow, women, men, children, teachers, elders, ministers, farmers, and business owners each carried a part of the dream. In the early morning, mothers prepared meals before children hurried off to school with books and big dreams. Teachers opened classroom doors believing that education would give the next generation opportunities their parents had fought to create. Ministers welcomed neighbors into churches that became more than places of worship. They became places where people encouraged one another, solved problems together, and celebrated life's milestones. Along the streets, merchants greeted familiar faces as customers stopped to shop, exchange news, and strengthen friendships. Skilled workers built homes, repaired tools, planted crops, and opened businesses that kept the community moving forward. Elders shared stories with children, passing along lessons about perseverance, faith, and responsibility, so that each generation would remember why Mound Bayou had been built. This is what made Mound Bayou remarkable. It was never just a collection of buildings. It became a living community because ordinary people believed their daily work mattered. Every lesson taught, every meal prepared, every business opened, every child encouraged, and every helping hand offered became another brick in the foundation of a town whose legacy continues to inspire us today. History often remembers the people who founded a town, but communities are built by many more hands than those recorded in official documents. As Mound Bayou began to grow, women, men, children, teachers, elders, ministers, farmers, and business owners each carried a part of the dream. In the early morning, mothers prepared meals before children hurried off to school with books and big dreams. Teachers opened classroom doors believing that education would give the next generation opportunities their parents had fought to create. Ministers welcomed neighbors into churches that became more than places of worship. They became places where people encouraged one another, solved problems together, and celebrated life's milestones. Along the streets, merchants greeted familiar faces as customers stopped to shop, exchange news, and strengthen friendships. Skilled workers built homes, repaired tools, planted crops, and opened businesses that kept the community moving forward. Elders shared stories with children, passing along lessons about perseverance, faith, and responsibility, so that each generation would remember why Mound Bayou had been built. This is what made Mound Bayou remarkable. It was never just a collection of buildings. It became a living community because ordinary people believed their daily work mattered. Every lesson taught, every meal prepared, every business opened, every child encouraged, and every helping hand offered became another brick in the foundation of a town whose legacy continues to inspire us today. As we walk through Mound Bayou, one question naturally comes to mind. What made this community thrive? The answer wasn't found in a single leader or one remarkable event. It was found in the values shared by the people who lived here. Families believed that education could change a child's future. Owning land meant more than possessing property. It meant creating stability and passing opportunity from one generation to the next. Churches offered not only faith, but encouragement, leadership, and a place where neighbors could come together in times of celebration and hardship. Small businesses became gathering places where relationships were built alongside livelihoods. Teachers challenged students to dream beyond the limits others tried to place on them. Parents taught responsibility through their own example, and elders reminded young people that every generation has a duty to leave the community stronger than they found it. These values transformed Mound Bayou into more than a successful town. They created a community where people believed in one another. That belief became one of its greatest strengths, proving that freedom is not simply inherited. It is built, protected, and shared through everyday choices made by ordinary people committed to an extraordinary vision.